I was offered $20 million to withdraw from the senatorial race and run against my friend Rashida Tlaib. The pro-Israel lobby will go to any length to remove anybody from the U.S. Congress that has any opposition to their agenda and their total, unequivocal support for Israel, good, bad, or indifferent. We need to make sure that money is not the main catalyst to get people elected.
All right, that is Nasser Beydoun. He's running for Senate in Michigan. And after he turned down that offer, he also wound up having some ballot issues. He's going to tell us about. Nasser, good to see you.
How are you, Cenk? Good to see you again.
Yes. So first of all, tell us about the $20 million that they offered. How did they make the offer? How explicit was it? And then what did you think after the call?
Well, basically what happened was I had a meeting with the former chairman of the Michigan Democratic Party. And a meeting was arranged by a mutual friend of ours, and we were sitting in the office. And he basically told me that, listen, if you withdraw from the Senate race and run against Rashida Tlaib, I can guarantee you $20 million, $10 million of soft money, $10 million of hard money for your campaign.
Wow. And I assume he wasn't such a knucklehead that he told you where the money's coming from. But $20 million is a giant amount of money to guarantee, especially in a congressional run. That is a massive amount of money. So did he give any other inferences and implications?
No, but basically I told him, I said, listen, I know where, I understand where the money's coming from, but my position on Palestine is very similar to Rashida's. So what good do I do? He goes, well, they just want her out. They just want her defeated so they can use her as an example.
Yeah, and so if you haven't been following the AIPAC stories, they've now spent $5.5 million in a race in Oregon for a congressional seat against Pramila Jayapal's sister. They spent $500,000 in another race in Oregon against the progressive. Anyone who dares to question Israel at all will have millions, including Andy Levin, a great Jewish American candidate from Michigan, your same state. They spent $4 million against him because he said he also thought Palestinians were human beings and should have rights. So that's how AIPAC operates and their different PACs.
I always say before we end the occupation of Palestine, we need to end the occupation of Congress. And it's crazy the amount of money that they spend. And when you go to Congress today, and it looks like we're walking into the Israeli Knesset. You go to the Capitol, there's Israeli flags everywhere. When did we sell our sovereignty to Benjamin Netanyahu and the pro-Israel lobby?
Well, I know when AIPAC said we're going to spend $100 million in this election cycle. And of course, way earlier than that, when AIPAC has been spending hundreds of millions of dollars throughout. And so the number one donor to Speaker Mike Johnson is AIPAC, number one donor to Schumer is AIPAC, number one donor to Joe Biden is AIPAC. This is absurd. So it's very, very brazen. Now I'm curious about the latest troubles that you've run into now that as you try to continue your Senate race, because Stabenow, the incumbent, she's stepping down. That opens up the race. Obviously, an incumbent conservative establishment Democrat's going to run, and that's Representative Slotkin. She's running. So, what happened on the ballot with you in Michigan?
Well, you mentioned Alyssa Slotkin. She has been the establishment favorite from day one. She announced in January of 2023 she's running for this position, and lo and behold, the next day she said she raised $1.5 million, and she's raised over $15 million for the race. What happened to us is in Michigan, there's petitions. We have to get signature petitions, and we were able to get. You're required to have 15,000 petition signatures. We turned in 24,000 valid signatures. On the header of the petition, we, instead of putting a street address, we put a PO box. And I did that because of safety concerns. And there was nowhere on the petition says where you cannot use a PO box. And for that, they're trying to remove us from the ballot.
That's insane. So
the court file a lawsuit in Michigan Appellate Court to try and get back up, to get us on the ballot.
So, guys, as a person who's dealt with a lot of ballot issues, I've been kept off the ballot for different reasons. I ran for president, wasn't born in America. We had huge debates over that. We had a really interesting case in the district courts, et cetera. But you understand where that comes from. In Arizona, we submitted plenty of signatures, but not enough qualified. That happens from time to time, and that's your fault, not their fault, okay? But they had enough signatures here. PO box at the top of the form, that's basically saying, we don't want you in this race, and we're gonna push you out one way or another. So
exactly, and they want you to list your home address on the form, and that form is gonna go out to everybody in the state. For security reasons, protecting my wife and my kids, I'm not gonna do that. I mean, there's no reason for it. It has no material bearing on the whatsoever on the petitions.
Yeah, and again, it's when I ran for office, I had a PO box for the same exact reason. I mean, this is not the 1800s where you can put your house's address down and then go, oh, don't worry about it. If somebody's going to come attack me, it's going to take 2 months in a wagon, right? I'll get plenty of time to get prepared. This is crazy, and especially as things are getting so heated on so many different issues. All right, so what's your time frame here? How do you get back on the ballot? And then I'll ask about how you're gonna win the race.
Well, we have till June 16th to make sure that the appeals court hears it. And they're used to it, so we should be able to go through the process. And I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to get on the ballot, because you can't disenfranchise 24,000 Michiganians over a PO box. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then Nasser, one last thing about that. Slotsky's got $50 million, which everybody uses as like, oh, she's the front runner. That's so wonderful. No, that just means she took $50 million in bribes, likely, right? But legalized bribes, because you take money from people at $27, $39 at a time. That's real, right? You take it in industrial levels. That's corporate, and people, then you owe those folks, right? So I don't view that as but as a person, I know you're a businessman in the area in Dearborn, Michigan, and the surrounding areas. But it also drains you of your campaign resources to fight all these legal battles, right?
It does. It drains your campaign resources. Unlike Alyssa Slotkin, what I love to say about Alyssa Slotkin, if the CIA and AIPAC had a baby, it would be Alyssa Slotkin. And the other thing is, I'm a businessman. I'm a working man. So every morning I got to get up and take care of my businesses and then run for office. Whereas she collects her salary as a congresswoman and she gets paid to go run for office. And then she has all these senatorial PACs, congressional PACs, Wall Street PACs, big pharma, military industrial, AIPAC funding her campaign. Whereas I refuse to take any money from any PACs. I just want individuals, because when I go to Washington, my loyalty is going to be to the citizens of Michigan and not to Wall Street or AIPAC or the military industrial complex.
Nasser, what's your website?
My website is www.nasserformi.com.
So Nasser for Michigan, of course, mi.com. And we'll have the link down below in the description box. So Nasser, assuming you get back on the ballot, how do you overcome that overwhelming financial advantage she has?
Well, I mean, she has a financial advantage, but she's not a likable person. She's having a very hard time. I don't think she ever visited Detroit before she decided to run for office. She has no inroads with people of color, with immigrants, with working class folks, with the Arab American community, with the Muslim community, with the Asian community, the Latino community. So that's the coalition that we're trying to build, the African American community. We're trying, and small business owners. I'm actually the only candidate on the Democratic side that's actually lived in Michigan, raised his kids in Michigan, currently makes his money in Michigan. Hill Harper, who is an actor, moved to Michigan, bought a mansion and a coffee house, and now he wants to be senator. Alyssa Slotkin, she's gone from burner apartment to burner apartment as she's decided where she wants to live to get on the ballot. So I am the only one here that has the roots in Michigan. And I've been around a long time. I didn't just decide one day to wake up and say, I'm going to run for the US Senate. I've been a community I've done my community service, and I've been a public servant for 20 some years. I just decided that I got sick of the corruption. And like Plato said, the price of indifference by good men in public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. And there's nothing more evil than our US Congress today.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean. They're about to give standing ovations to a butcher named Netanyahu, and they are doing it because they got paid off by AIPAC. So they seem so steeped in morality. And I know you could trust Slotkin, even though she's taking money from every lobbyist in the world, because she used to work for the CIA. So obviously you can trust her.
Not only did she work in the CIA, her claim to fame is she did 3 tours in Iraq during the Iraq War. That means during Abu Ghraib, during waterboarding. She supported a war that was based on a lie, and she supported torturing prisoners in Iraq. So, she's not the nicest person in the world.
Yeah, all right, now last thing, you talk about being a true Michigander, and you're very pro-labor, you're a business owner, but very pro-labor. So tell me about your dad, tell me what got you to fight for workers' rights.
Well, like you, I'm an immigrant. My parents immigrated here in 1969. My dad was a shoemaker, a cobbler in Lebanon. So we came here, he got a job at Ford Motor Company working on the assembly line in 1970. For 30 years, he worked on the assembly line, woke up every morning at 5 a.m. and he went to work. And whenever there was overtime, he worked the overtime so we could have more money. That job allowed him to live a comfortable middle-class life. It allowed him to raise 6 children and send them to college. And he's been retired for 23 years, and he's been able to retire with dignity because he has a union pension and union health care. So, the unions in this country are what created the middle class. Small business owners and union is what it's going to take to make sure that America's middle class continues to grow and to thrive. And unfortunately, today we're losing union jobs, we're losing small business, and the corporate giants and the billionaires are going to eat us all up, and then we're just going to be serfs working to make sure the billionaires live their lifestyle.
Yeah. Man, there are things deeply wrong in this country. At least a couple of good folks are trying to fix it. Nasser Beydoun's trying to fix it in Michigan, running for the Senate seat. His website's nasser4mi.com. We'll have the link down below. Nasser, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
We got to get you back into Michigan. We got to get you back to Dearborn.
Can't wait. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.